Happy Sunday morning, guys. What's going on? I made it into Guitar World, Harmony Central, and Music Radar. Actually, a couple of other places too. So I promised you a video, and I didn't get to edit one before the deadline of me getting it up at 2 a.m. this weekend. Just too many things going on. But just want to say good morning and give you some insights on how I got into Guitar World and Music Radar. What's up, Todd? I'm assuming you can hear me pretty good then. But I wanted to give you sort of the 5 minutes of how I got into Guitar World and then just sort of drop some of my insights and knowledge of how I got in. There's still more stuff coming, and there's also unintended consequences that I've run into as well that we'll do a video on next week once I get some clearance. We've got that video coming next week shortly. Just assembled that. I posted that on Instagram last week. And then I've got some knobs from Robbie Skull that we'll do a review on later. I saw him on Instagram and I had to get them, so I bought the two metal ones, which are really awesome. So, all right. So Guitar World, Music Radar, what did I do? How did I get on it? I actually ran a PR campaign with Josh Vidic of Vidic PR. Those new barrel top guitars that I've got, we've got, I don't know, like 6 or 7 new brands. And we wanted to do a story, get out into the market with what I've got, what I'm doing. And it's a very unique proposition in the market. No one really has that style of guitar. No one has put that time and effort in. And I've been doing it since 2015. So now that we've added some of this additional brands, we wanted to sort of call that out. And I've been working with Josh for probably the last 6 weeks. Josh is an awesome guy. Vidic PR has done a ton of PR campaigns for a whole bunch of folks and was really nice in terms of how we sort of laid this out and what I wanted to communicate and what I wanted to do. And he's been in the guitar business for over 20 years as well. He did artist relations for Kiesel Guitars. Back in the day, he was there almost 10 years, I think. He's based out of San Diego, California, essentially. And he knows his way around the music business. He's got about 300 different contacts that he can get you in touch with for, campaigns or using his contact book. And we wanted to do this PR campaign, just sort of announcing our new sort of line, I guess you could call it. We've got sort of the historical whiskey barrel guitar that I was doing, and we've now added just a bunch of different brands to that. And Josh wrote up the sort of press release, and then we were going to release it last week, but we decided to push it a week. We only needed to make a couple of edits, and we made the edits. He released it on Tuesday, and as soon as we released it on Tuesday, it's kind of hit or miss if it gets picked up or not. He's done some that have done great, and he's done some that sometimes don't work out all that well. This one worked out awesome. The whiskey barrel guitars are significantly unique, and everybody picked it up, which was awesome. Made life great. Now it's sort of a waiting game to see if I can make it into print. With the press release, this will last anywhere between 7 and 14 days, depending on who picks it up. Josh also released this to a couple sort of men's interest groups as well. And we'll see if any of those pick it up. But now the waiting game is to see if it gets into print, which would be significant. Getting online was awesome, but we want to see if we can make it into print. And I was a little bit worried that this may not work out all that well. That's just sort of me not thinking that this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And Josh was really pleased, with how it turned out and with the responses that he got a couple inquiries to move them, and been working with Justin to make sure they sell. So that was my week which turned out to be pretty awesome. I've always wanted to be in guitar world and just haven't done it. I've got all the YouTube videos and everything else, but it just hasn't been picked up. And that was one of the big learnings for me, is you've got to be with the right people at the right time with the right product to get picked up into those magazines. There are a ton of us doing some awesome things out there. We just don't get picked up because we don't know the right contacts or we don't know the right people. And Josh is the guy to get you into the right people's hands at the right time and get in there. So with NAMM coming up, I wanted to make a splash before NAMM. There's going to be so much new stuff now hitting the magazines in December and January. And I was hoping that getting this out in October, I would potentially hit the December drops of magazines. And we'll see. We'll see what actually happens. So that was sort of my week in a nutshell. I've been working on that for the last 6 weeks, and my video production has gone down just slightly. I do have a setup video coming shortly. And then, like I said, I just completed this beautiful one over the last couple of days, and that's actually a fun one for my daughters. Like I said, I was posting that on Instagram last night. So now I've got about 6 minutes of me rambling on how I got into Guitar World and how I did my press release and got picked up. Wondering if you guys have sort of any questions, any comments. Thank you for the congrats. It's been a long time coming. It finally got out. But we've only got 12 of us on. I am way early on Sunday morning. I was hoping to catch a couple more folks, but sometimes Sunday morning, I've heard, is not the best. I'd love to do Sunday afternoons, but I know Texas Toast has got that, so I'm not going to invade his space. Don't need to sort of drop over. Plus, I like chatting with him as well. So, and you guys got any questions on how I got in, or sort of any other news and insights that you guys are looking for? Like I said, I did pick up some Robbie Skulls control knobs. These are metal ones. He makes them in his own shop. He builds the molds, pours them, does everything. And then he has a set screw in these as well. These are pretty cool. I've got a plastic one and some of the metal ones, and we'll be them. I don't know what I'll put those on next. They are pretty cool. They deserve a cool guitar. I just got to figure out what to put them in. So we'll see. Anything else going on for you guys on a Sunday morning? I probably will be using Josh a lot more frequently now coming up. I didn't realize getting into traditional media versus sort of my social media view, it requires a different set of context, a different set of people that you know, and there's so much sort of YouTube and Instagram noise that, you know, all of our stuff essentially just gets lost unless it goes viral, like some of the Burles Art stuff, or was it the iPhone guitar? It's funny, that iPhone guitar went viral, and then the guy put it on Reverb for, was it like $125,000? I thought that was hilarious. Didn't really understand that, but he did get picked up. So unless you've got something really sort of big and awesome, it's hard for something traditional to get into some of those magazines and noise. They only pick up stuff when they see it really blowing up. And there is so much guitar noise out there that you're not going to get noticed unless you've got the right context. So Josh was a huge help in getting me out there. And like I said earlier, it's now sort of a waiting game to see if I get picked up in print, which would be significant. I showed you guys I don't think I have it out anymore. I got into 20th century guitar like 15 years ago for my Veritone switch. And that was more or less me just getting picked up by the guy. He was in one of the forums that I was on. And that was huge because that drove so much business towards me. So I'm hoping if I can get into print, I will definitely sort of get over the hump and get a little bit more noise towards me. That's about it for me on a Sunday morning. We're at 10 minutes. I don't know if you guys got any additional questions. I wanted to sort of give my overview today of getting into Guitar World, Harmony Central, Music Radar. We were in Atlas, New Atlas, and then a couple other sites as well. So we got picked up, I think, on 8 different sort of news feeds. We should have some life at the beginning of this week as well. Some guys will sort of pick stuff up and run with it. We hit Tuesday. Some of the articles came out right on Tuesday. A couple came out on Wednesday. I think the men's interest one, New Atlas, came out on Thursday or Friday. So it really depends on what people have scheduled and slotted for the next, 3 or 4 days. So, oh yeah, I will talk about that double neck in a second since I've got my double neck going. It's kind of funny that it seems like we're in lockstep to some degree with what I'm doing versus what they're doing. But depending on how people slot things, I've noticed that with some of the Facebook news sites as well. I've submitted a couple of my videos to like DIY and crafts, and they'll pick up the video, re-edit it, and then post it. And I've never really gotten any traction on that. The one cool thing about the PR campaign with Josh was that I immediately saw the jumps to my site. And even on this YouTube channel, I picked up a whole bunch of new subscribers. I'm hoping that this video actually does pretty well for me, just because it's not really a clickbaity title, but it is a pretty cool thing that happened. And I know not everyone can join us at 9/11 on a Sunday morning. So for the 14 of us that are here, thanks for joining. And you can listen to sort of me rambling. I know the World Series was last night and Halloween parties, so everyone's probably sleeping off some festivities. So we'll end the sort of talk on me getting into Guitar World and Music Radar and Harmony Central. Again, if you want to do a PR campaign with Josh, he is awesome to work with. If you've got something new or unique, he has the right contacts to pick that up and run with it. And I will definitely be using him again. He sort of works on a whole bunch of folks on a retainer. He really was helpful in sort of crafting and wording it. And for me, like I said, that campaign was more about awareness and driving folks to just sort of know that I am doing whiskey barrel guitars and that I have been in market since 2015. So anyone that sort of comes on over me now, at least I've been established as the builder, which is what I wanted to do, because there are some other things coming, as I've been alluding to. And now at least I'm in market, and there will be sort of no games. And next week we'll do a video on some of the unintended consequences. I have to clear a couple things with my lawyer. So now I've had to pick up a lawyer. And it's not actually from who I thought it was going to be. It's from someone else. So I have to, if you look through my videos, you'll see something has disappeared. And we'll talk about that next week. All right, so we're 15 minutes in, essentially. Let's get to the questions. My 14 loyal guys here on Sunday morning, thank you. Thanks, Todd. Let's see. Have you seen the new Relic double neck Gibson for 13 grand? Yeah, I actually have seen it. I've watched it. I watched the Troglodyte video guitar. I can't even pronounce that name. It just gets jumbled in my head with my slight dyslexia. But yeah, I watched that video. I watched it twice, actually. And then I watched one of the videos with what their review of how they're building it. And my big concern with that guitar is a piece of wood will tend to slightly move over time. I don't know if I've got anything super wide here, but a one-piece guitar body, depending on how that piece of wood is cut, sometimes we'll do this. And that just is what happens. I've got a couple pieces of oak outside that have actually moved, and something that wide without a rip down the middle can sort of have some problems. It's interesting in Trilogy's review, if you watch it, there's a QC issue in that where one of the screws busted through the side, and instead of actually fixing it, they just left it. I don't know why. I don't know if they didn't expect someone with that high-end guitar was going to sort of take it apart. But he took it apart and sort of called out a couple issues, which I was surprised to see that for that price point. So that's sort of my 2 cents on that. It's a neat guitar. The Slash relics that they do are top notch. I've played a couple of them. They do spend the time coming out of the custom shop to get them set up and right. I'm definitely not a fan of the painting to relic guitars. That's just not my. It's not my thing. It's like you're paying for an artist to do something exactly like another artist, and everything is sort of off. Speaking of artists, I've got a dump for Brad coming. I know you guys don't want to see it, but I did a dump for Brad. He did his Puppies and Spaceships guitar, and I've got one for him. I'm going to sign it and send it to him. We had some fun with that, so we'll do that. We'll get into some Q&A. I don't know how to say that. Markuth Guitar BA. I'm doing my first complete tongue oil finish on a bass. Any suggestions on the final finish? So if you've got pure tongue oil and you're using that as a final finish, you want to make sure that that last coat you sort of go over with some steel wool and put on one more thin coat. So you're probably going to have to do about 6 to 8 coats. And the first 2 coats you want to dry. You want to let them dry completely. What I've noticed with sort of tongue oil, true oil, some of those polymers is that the wood, if the finish doesn't dry fully, you'll just get the material to keep soaking in. So you really want the material to dry, solidify, and then put the last couple coats on, because then you'll sort of fill the grain and fill the pores, and you get a much better finish. And then on that last coat, rub some steel wool, take that fuzz off, and then apply one more thin coat. You should get a really nice high polish finish. All right, so that was the tongue oil. You want to stain over the tongue oil. You can stain. So if you put a Angelus dye down, you need to lock in the colors with a sanding sealer, and then you can put the true oil over that. I've done that pretty much on all of my bodies, but you've got to put a sanding sealer down over the color, and then put the oil over the color. That's the best way to do this. You got to lock in that color and still follow that same process. You want to apply the color first, then apply a sanding sealer over it, mist coats. So you let it dry, a couple mist coats. I actually got a video on that coming. And then once that's dry, you still want to put one heavy coat on of oil, let that fully dry, and then put your successive coats on over that. Another question, is it possible to do decals with a stain over finish? Like stickers, you want to put stickers down on a guitar body and then oil over the stickers? You could do that. There's no problem doing that. Some stickers you may break down with an oil over it. It's just the way it works. What you could do is put the sticker down, tape the sticker, and then apply the finish and pull off the tape, some of that like painting tape. That might work. If you put a oil finish down and then the sticker over that, usually the sticker won't stick. But if you put a sticker down on the bare wood and then apply the oil around it with some masking tape, you should be okay to do that. All right, so another question. I'm building a hollow body. What is the minimum edge that you would leave to glue down the cap to? That's a pretty complicated, good question. What's up, Tom? A hollow body, you want enough of an edge. So I'm actually working on a hollow body, and I've been working on it for like 6 months. Just too many other projects have come in able to do it. But you'll get that edge bent, and with like the ES style guitars, they'll do like a 3-ply as a bend, and then they'll line it with some kerfing or whatever. Like at least you usually want like a 3/8 thickness on that. You don't want like a 1/4 inch. You want a 3/8 to 1/2 inch with that kerfing. That usually gives you enough glue area to actually adhere the top pretty well. You obviously can't just bend the sides and try and glue it down. You got to put that kerfing down. That is significantly important to do. So 3/8 to 1/2 inch works out pretty well. I don't have my acoustic up here, my arch top, but I custom did that kerfing. I also have done strips of wood to build out that. So in one of the Steambox guitars I built years ago, I put a double layer, and then I took the scraps and I bent it on, and I layered it out pretty thick. So I went like 1/4 inch sheets of the maple, and I just glued like 3 or 4 strips, and then I actually built like a solid maple box, and I didn't even use the kerfing. I just sort of rebent the maple that cracked as I was bending it. That worked out pretty well, but usually 3/8 to 1/2 inch work out pretty well. All right, so we're at 22 minutes, 24 people, a couple more. All of you have sort of woken up on your beautiful Sunday morning here. We had a ton of rain last night. If you guys watched any of the college football games, we had lots of rain in the Midwest, lots of flooding. And today it's a beautiful Sunday morning. So I'll give you guys a couple more minutes for some additional questions. This is coming shortly. Gonna break the camera here. But if you have girls like I do, and you want them to play guitar, you need to make them a pretty guitar that they'll actually want to play with. So I'm editing this video now. This is that mermaid flippy material, and I'm hoping that they'll play it. This is a neck that I've had for a while, and it's a mahogany neck with African blackwood. And I've got a Graphtec bridge on here. And this is, I always get that question of, can you put a Gibson style bridge on a Telly? And you can. This is what this is. This is a Graphtec 12-inch radius bridge. This neck is 9.5. It's a Telly-ish neck with my headstock that we made, and this actually plays awesome. I'm surprised at how well it plays. I did have to shim the neck though for a little bit of an angle to get the bridge to work out. I did that video for you guys a couple weeks ago on neck angle, and this actually turned out really well. It actually plays awesome. I just strung it up this morning, and I will show you guys how to do this. This is for all of us who have some daughters that we are begging to play, hoping this does it for them. And I even got my little one to help me building this, which is what I wanted. She helped put all the string in to hold this down. I actually have built 2 of these. First one was a complete utter failure, which I'll show you in the video, and then the second one's turned out really well. A couple more questions here. Actually saved your 4-piece wood saving video. Went to a hollow strap like that. Yeah, Tom, that new construction technique that I've got for hollow bodies has worked out awesome. My only failure was that you got to glue up the grain correctly or you'll get some shrinkage, which is an issue. I fixed that moving forward. That has actually worked out pretty well. The Woodfellas, you helped me build my first guitar, a popular PRS custom with a custom scale length. It was a gift from my best friend's 40th. That's awesome. I'm not sure I'm allowed to use that word anymore in any of my videos. If you catch my drift, there are some videos that have just recently disappeared. Girl's guitar. Yep, that's a guitar for my daughters. And then have you looked at Highline Guitars video using boiled linseed oil and Japan dryer? I have not. I don't watch Chris's videos usually. He's not on my list. I'll try and go look at that. I haven't used Japan dryer and oil. Just haven't needed to. I'm not sure how that would really work out perfectly. He plays bass, 6 strings. Any hints on which would be suitable for neck lamination? Yeah, for a bass guitar, you can really do whatever you want. For some reason, bassists get really crazy in the wood choice that they use. I like Babinga and Purple Heart. It's a real big pain to work with, but that really can make an awesome scale length guitar because you can run the Babinga through the neck from the top to the bottom, and that looks really cool. With a 6 string, you're gonna have to use a nice truss rod for sure. But I like a Babinga and maple. I did that, and then I did Babinga and Purple Heart. That purple and maple white look looks awesome. I would love to do that again. I actually got a neck I'm sitting on still in the basement. Bazinga wood, yep. All right, guys, we are 28 minutes in. 22 of you join. Like I said, this was just sort of a promise from the community tab. I had said, you guys want me to go live and answer questions, or did you want me to do a video? I didn't have the chance to do a video before yesterday. Way too many things going on, and just wanted to do this and catch up with you on a beautiful Sunday morning. We're going to drop off here. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for interacting. I hope I answered some of your questions. I know it's not as long as I normally do, but it's also way earlier than normal, 9:30. I think next time we go live in a couple of weeks, we'll do it a little bit later so everyone's more awake. This is really only an East Coast feed or Europe feed, but Europe, it's the afternoon, so people are actually probably doing stuff. So yeah, the Woodfella is definitely a truss rod and carbon fiber for that base. That neck will be like, woo, if you don't. If you do a multi-laminate though, like a maple and Purple Heart, you probably can get a little bit of strength out of like a multi-laminate piece. You might be okay, but the carbon fiber helps a lot. You want to get those carbon fiber long skinny rods. You don't want to get the blocks. The long skinny rods are better than the blocks. The flex still happens in the square rods, but the long rods that are like a 16th and like not 3/8, but a little bit more than a quarter, there's significantly less flex in those than sort of the square rods. I've used both, and I don't like the square rods at all. They're terrible. So, all right, 30 minutes, quick video. The first 10 minutes of this video are me explaining how I got into Guitar World. So if you guys missed that, you can watch how I got into Guitar World with the help of Vidic PR. I'll put his contact information below. He is awesome. And we'll talk later, guys. Thanks for watching. We will see you next week.